Today, why is the swinging motion so comforting? Think about it, it is. It's what we do to babies, don't we? We rock them. I mean, even as grown-ups, being on a swing is ace. Although not for too long, because you will get dizzy. Trust me. Neil Shah joins me, the Chief De-Stressing Officer at the Stress Management Society. There is such a thing. Oh, hello to you, Neil. You seem like a very useful man to know. So, swinging, it works on kids. It does work on grown-ups too?
Yes, Vic, and firstly, thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure. And it's interesting. It's a primal, primitive kind of response. You know, the first experience we have of that rocking motion is in the mother's womb. And it's something that brings us comfort throughout our lives. And it can be expressed in many different ways. I know we're kind of talking about sort of rocking on a swing or a hammock or a chair or something like that. But there are many other aspects of kind of our daily existences where we may find ourselves rocking and getting some benefit from it. You know, if you're at a music event or a festival or something like that, I'm participating again in a festival called Love Jam later in the summer. And I remember last year there was a sea of thousands of people literally swaying in time to the music. That is another form of swinging. And when we do it in unison, there can be the collective benefit of that as well.
Really? So it's not just swinging yourself, doing it with lots of other people. You don't have to be at Love Jam to do swaying. You could be, I don't know, at a Cliff Richard concert. That's the joy of it. You just that sort of motion together makes a difference. But how?
And there's a couple of different reasons for that. And if we go into kind of the science, the research that's been done on this science, number one, obviously, as we know, it's comforting because it's a combination of both physiological and the psychological benefits, and also the developmental factors we experience as we're growing up. There's the vestibular stimulation, which is the swinging motion providing constant vestibular stimulation, activating the inner ear's balance and spatial orientation system. And this has a calming effect on the central nervous system, which is why when you rock a child, they start to feel calmer. It promotes emotional well-being, and particularly for children whose sensory systems are still developing. That level of stimulation can be very, very soothing. Neurotransmitter release when we swing, whether that's to music or on a hammock or a chair, or even that kind of swinging motion or swaying motion you can have when you're in the ocean, has been linked to the release of neurotransmitters like serotonin, endorphins, which contribute to positive moods. That acts as natural pain and stress relievers. And these neurochemicals can contribute to feelings of comfort and relaxation associated with swimming. Sensory integration, there's multiple different sensory systems that are stimulated when we move. It gives you tactile, proactive and auditory input. This helps us to feel kind of like that we're integrating different levels of sensory kind of information, leading to a better emotional regulation. Memory and association, as we talked about, many of us will associate kind of that swinging, swaying emotion with positive childhood memories of play, of freedom. And those nostalgic associations are anchors that can trigger feelings of safety and comfort, making them feel inherently soothing, both for children and for adults. Attachment, bonding, you know, there's, for many of us, we have a childhood attachment with kind of this feeling of being held, rocked, and that can help us to feel like we're safe, we're secure. Interestingly, children that don't have that in childhood may not have that bond or attachment with the swinging or swaying motion, because it can evoke a sense of connection and trust, similar to the bond we formed in infancy. The stress reduction, it's been shown to reduce cortisol levels. That's obviously the stress hormone. That rhythmic motion induces a relaxation response, helping us to feel calm and relaxed. And you know, the list goes on. It regulates our state of arousal, which can help, you know, particularly if we're feeling overstimulated, it can really start to help us to reduce anxiety, particularly children who might struggle with sensory sensitivities, maybe on the spectrum, for example. It can really help to kind of regulate their arousal levels. Mindfulness as well, you know, because you can be present, like, to the act of swinging, of swaying, of being in the rocking chair, of being in the hammock, of being present to the music. at a Cliff Richard concert or a festival. And that in itself can be really, really beneficial. And we talk about kind of this triggering that kind of child response is regressing us back to a more relaxed, carefree state of mind, as well as obviously the physical relaxation that comes with moving.
So there's a lot in this, so it goes right the way back to childhood, but also, like you said, it's that physical thing, that vestibular stimulation, which, by the way, is a phrase I'm going to enjoy using for the rest of the day. Thank you so much for joining us. That is the lovely Neil Shah, Chief De-Stressing Officer at the Stress Management Society. So, swing in, sway in, works on grown-ups, works on little ones too.